Welcome back to Inside the Huddle with myself, Dalton Reid, Season 2, Episode 11. We are here back in the studio once more with Coach Adams. Coach, how you doing this morning?
Doing great. Ready for another game Friday night.
Most definitely. And the Panthers got a big win senior night. They took care of the Cutter Morning Star Eagles, ran the football extremely well, having 337 yards on the ground. Great game for the stable of running backs that the Panthers have. Coach, can you emphasize that a little bit?
Yeah, we did a good job. You know, we came out really slow on both sides of the ball. It took us a while to get the offense going, really. But once we got it going, we started rolling. You know, Angel Velasquez had a good night. He rushed for over 100 yards. You have the stats right there, don't you?
Yeah. Angel, he rushed for 112, and then Carter Tugwell rushed for 91. Carter had 3 touchdowns, and Angel had 1.
Carter had 3 touchdowns. Angel had 1. Damien had 2 touchdown receptions. I saw one of their cornerbacks was peeking in the backfield and was trying to be aggressive on the run. So we threw a couple to Damien there, and Damien made one of them. He caught it in the window, double covered, and just made a heck of a play. But offensively, I want to give a big shout out to our offensive line. You know, a lot of people don't recognize those guys. They're not on that stat sheet, are they? I don't have no offensive line names on there, do I?
No, you don't. Just Wilson and his completions and the stable running backs but the offensive line is what makes it run.
Yeah, and I got to give a lot of credit to those guys. We've had guys that have been, people ask me all the time, "Are y'all banged up? Are y'all healthy?" We're always banged up. My goal for to teach these guys is that if you're not injured, you can play through some pain. There's nobody that's a big time player that is not banged up during a football season. And our left tackle, Braxton Ballantyne, he actually, he had pneumonia a couple weeks ago, and he played through that. And he had a low ankle sprain. He's played on. He's pretty much, he's been battling that here and there. He'll get an ankle sprain, but he plays on it. We tape him up. Aaron Holland had surgery last year on his labrum. He's played this year, and then he's had some issues with his ankle, and Colton Sultan, with his calf muscle. I mean, we've had some guys banged up on the O line, and they've played through it. Bobby Scott, his lower back. Matter of fact, we played. Sean Costello came in, did miss a beat against Danville, and Bobby was lower back was giving him some issues, but those guys have all played through that, and they've done a good job in physical up front. And so a lot of credit to those guys. And Tanner McJunkins at center, all of them. River Williams at tight end. They've all had some some scrapes and bruises and bangs along the way, but they found a way to push through it, and they did a good job Friday night. So I was proud of them. They've always opened up that run game, and that's I put a lot of emphasis on my offensive line from time I got the job till now, and our offensive line's always been pretty good. And so I'm proud of those guys, especially these guys this year, man. There's some fighters up there, and it opens it up for those guys back there that we put those stats on the sheets for. So proud of those guys.
Yeah, and you look at the stat sheet, and I shifted over to, the season total stat sheet, and you have Angel over 1,000 yards rushing. He's averaging over 7 yards a carry, and he's only coughed the ball up 1 time. What can you say about your stable of running backs and how they can really impose their will on a game when they have the offensive line they have?
That's a good question. I say that they're unselfish. That's what comes to mind when I talk about them. Angel's done a phenomenal job this year. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that I give him the ball a lot. But, the other running backs, when they get the ball, they run extremely tough. Carter Tugwell's had a good season too. Will Thompson, Nehemiah Norwood, but they block for each other. That's what I'm so proud of them for is, nowadays we live in a me world. Everything's about me. Those guys don't make it about me. They put that face mask and them shoulder pads on people, and they run their feet. Not saying we're perfect at it, but they go flying around in there and hit people in the mouth, and they block really well for each other. And unselfish, man. That's what sparks it. But Angel, with that over 1,000 yards, that's a statement. He's a fierce competitor, and he wants the football, and he lowers his shoulders. And one thing about him is that when somebody hits him, he's going to keep his feet moving, and he may break it free. I never know when that sucker's going to go down. Against Paris, he was in the pile one time and popped loose, and I was getting ready to call another play in, and he jetted free and ran 20 more yards for a touchdown. So, man, he's got he's got that motor in him, and so do all my running backs. Moved Nehemiah there after the Jesseville game for Glen Rose, and moved Damien out to our what we call our Z, which is like our wing back, slot back type of player. And Carter Tugwell, Nehemiah Norwood, Will Thompson, they all run tough. They all block extremely well. And so, man, I've been really pleased with those guys. But a guy that rushes for over 1,000 yards and that's a special year. So he's had a really good year too.
Yeah, and you look at that, and just to reflect a little bit more on the Cutter game before we move on to the big conference game that the Panthers have this week, and you have an offensive Cutter that loves to throw the ball, and coming into the season, you wonder about the secondary, but the Panthers, proved that they can fare with a team that likes to throw the ball. What are your thoughts on your secondary play against Cutter?
Well, I coach the secondary along with Coach Streetman, so I take a lot of pride in it. And last year, um, you know, we struggled there at times. We had some great pieces there, but there were some things we struggled at. And in the off season, we really harped on, um, you know, doing what we do. We got a little fancy with our try to do certain coverages, try to cover up certain personnel last year and this year. And I'm not going to lie, with the help of Damian Stevens and Angel back there at safety, they're very very heady guys, smart guys. They're very coachable. In our corners, we have some really good cornerbacks too, and Calvin McKinney, Ethan Ramsey, Jaden Mullins helps us. So we have a good Tony helps us there. We have a good set of corners that rotate, and two of them can also play safety for us. But very coachable. We were going to do what we do. That's what we said in the offseason. We're going to get good at what we do, and then from there, once we master that skill, we could add some things in the secondary that could help us on obvious pass situations, stuff like that. And we've done that, and I've been proud. Matter of fact, teams that throw the ball a lot make me feel a lot better than teams that run the ball, because we've had a hard time stopping the run this year, and that's a huge issue that hopefully, we've looked better at certain times, but hopefully this week we do a good job of stopping the run, because Perryville's going to run the ball. And anyway, I was proud of our guys against Cutter in the secondary, and holding them up really to 14 points. And then later in the game, we made some substitutions, and wasn't real pleased with some of the guys that went in that gave up some dinks and dunks there in the end. But I was proud. I've been proud of our secondary this year, and our linebackers too. Our linebackers play a key role in our pass coverage, and they've done a phenomenal job as well. So I've been real pleased this year with our secondary and our linebacker play. Just we got to fix some things up front on the run, and then we'll put it all together. But it's getting late in the season. It's time to start doing that.
Yeah, and moving forward to this week, you've got a game that will determine whether you play another game at Kenneth W. Hammond Stadium or not, and that is frankly what this game against Perryville is.
Yes, and if we beat them, we're the 3 seed, and we'll play at home. Not 100% sure who the opponent will be, but it's going to be someone from the conference too, and we have an idea who it would be. But like I said, we've got to beat Perryville first, and this is a big game. Perryville's a great football team, one of the front runners in the conference when the season started. Unfortunately for them, they had some key injuries against Glen Rose that it's slowed them down a little bit. Their quarterback got hurt, their running back got hurt, one of their offensive linemen and defensive. He played both ways. Excuse me. And they got banged up, and one of them played last week versus Jesseville, and he hobbled around a little bit. He's a good player, but he could tell he was favoring his ankle. He had a high ankle sprain, I believe. And their quarterback is what makes their offense go. And I'm not sure if he'll be back or not. I don't plan on him being back, but he might be. And he got hurt against Glen Rose, and it was his throw and shoulder, and then their running back was out. But their coach is a great football coach, and we've kind of become friends over the last year. And he's a good guy, and he's gonna have him ready to play. And he moved one of their little skill guys to quarterback, and he likes to spread it out and run the ball on you. And he's watched enough film; he knows what our weaknesses are, and so he gonna have a great game plan for us, and this is a huge game. We lose, we're the 4 seed, and we're on the road in the playoffs, matching up with the one uh, conference one. So anyway, it's a big game, and I told the kids last year, I told the newspaper guy this too. The way we played against them last year left a bad taste in my mouth, and back to you talking about the DBs last year, me saying I coach them, it don't that I wasn't trying to say that that's the reason. The reason we are doing better because we got coachable kids in that position. But last year our DBs weren't very good, and I still coached them. So I'm not saying the players, our DBs as a whole struggled late in the year, and so same thing going into this year's game. I want the guys to have a competitive edge about them, a fight about them, and I think we have that this year. We have kids that they're not gonna quit. They're gonna battle till the end. They never think they're out of the fight. And so, with that being said, that left a bad taste in our mouth last year. And so this year, I've challenged our guys this week. I said, last year, not all of our guys, but I feel like a couple of our guys were just kind of ready for the season to be over. I had some great competitors on last year's team too, and I don't believe that was the case. I had a guy last year play. He had the stomach virus. He's out there throwing up on the field playing in the secondary, Cameron Gassman, and he didn't want the season to be over. But anyway, I told my guys, I said, you have to go over there and we need to show them this ain't the same team as last year. Hey, we're here to play. We don't care where it's at. If we beat Perryville, that's their last game on their home field. You know what I'm saying? So if we beat them, then we're playing another home game. So let's show them that last year's team ain't the same team as this year. We're here to show y'all that, hey, no matter what, this thing ain't over, and we're fighting for the 3 spot, and we plan to play a long time this year. So anyway, that's the mindset we have to have going into it. That it's going to be a tough game. It's going to come down to the wire. They lost to Jessieville by 7 in overtime. We lost to Jessieville by 7. I'm not comparing scores, but it will be a similar matchup like Jessieville was with the type of defense they run and type of offense they run. And so it's a similar matchup. So our kids mentally focused going into the game, have to expect it to be a 4-quarter battle, have to expect it to be tight. We want to win it in the 4th quarter. That's what I want. I want that sucker to come down to the wire, and I want to win it in the 4th, and because that's just the kind of team we had this year. And I want to finish it Friday night, and I want to be that. I want us to get that 3rd seed. So we're excited to go down to Perryville and show them that last year's 34-7 loss is not the same Magnet Cove team showing up and getting off that bus and walking onto their field. It's a different team and a different ball club, and we're ready to go.
Panthers have got a big one Friday night in Mustang Country. It will determine the 3 and the 4 seeds. So a little bit of revenge on the Panthers' minds, it seems. So I appreciate you this morning, Coach, and good luck Friday night.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with the guest portion of Inside the Huddle. All right, guys, welcome to the guest portion of Inside the Huddle here. As you can see, we're back in the studio, Season 2, Episode 11. Big episode here, and I'm happy to have on the line with me the head man down in Redbug Country, Mr. Coach Rodgers. How you doing this morning, Coach?
I'm doing great.
It's great to have you on, and we'll just get started right off to it. The Redbugs last week hosted a major rivalry game that this year had major implications, and your Redbugs came out on top against the Rising Wildcats. Can you talk a little bit about that game and how much it meant? And, now y'all have almost solidified y'all's seed as the number 1 seed in the 3A playoffs if you can get the win against McGee this week.
Yes, it was the game. It was one of the best ones I've been a part of since I've been here. With both of us being in the same conference now, and both of us being 8-0 this late in the year, it was exciting. I mean, it was great for both towns, the parents, fans, community, players, everything. I mean, and that's what Fordyce and Rising football is supposed to be about. I mean, last year was kind of a down year for Rising, and it just, I mean, it was a still exciting game, but it just didn't mean as much as it had the last few years. And this year it was a great atmosphere and everything. I mean, it was just so exciting to be a part of it this year.
Most definitely, and like you said, 8-0, and you got a very good single caller in Cadillac. Can you talk a little bit about him and his season this year and how he has progressed as a quarterback as a freshman?
Yes, that's one of the things that we decided early on when moving him up as a ninth grader, and we we not put a lot of pressure, but we knew we were probably going to have to do that. The kid that was probably going to be our quarterback moved off, so and, we had some make the decisions and some choices to make, and we figured he could handle it, and he has. He's done a great job. Coach Sosha and Coach McGee and have been working with him as far as in the summer and stuff. And plus, we try not to put him in a lot of, I guess, stressful or a lot of big time situations as far as putting a lot of pressure on him. I mean, we try to work him in, starting out the ball games kind of slow and make some, easy passes, run the ball, get to where we don't put a lot on him. And as the seasons went along, we've been able to put more and more, and he's kind of picked it up. He's gotten better, and it's worked out good for us. I mean, we're 9-0 right now, and he's made some great decisions. I mean, he still makes mistakes every now and then. I mean, everybody does, but he's gotten better every week that we played, and especially Friday night, it showed up at times. There was a couple of times, maybe some hiccups, but there were some times that he made some big time plays Friday night, and that's what we're looking for the next 3 years.
Yeah, with him at signal caller and being a ninth grader and just kind of incorporating him into the program and the rich tradition and y'all have down there at Fordyce. Can you talk a little bit about the skill players that surround him that he can bail the ball off to when he gets in those stressful situations?
Okay, I know. He's a ninth grader, and one of the things we do put a lot on him, and sometimes people forget. He's just 14 years old. He's a young ninth grader, so but we do put a lot on him as far as starting off our offense. Otherwise, as far as our skill people, I know Brenton Sledge is a senior, and he don't have a lot of big stats this year, but he's been doing what we ask as far as running the ball, catching the ball, and I mean he's made some big catches and runs this year for us. Micah Gamble's the other one that plays running back for us, and he's a 10th grader, so we got him the next 2 years, and he's gotten better each week, and he's a big, strong running back, and so the running back side of it, those are the two main ones that we use. I know T.J. Harris and Tremaine Turner play fullback sometimes for us, and those two guys have been helping out a lot too. That's the run game. Pass game, we've got some young men that can go. Jamartez Stroud is one of Ellison's main targets that we throw to, and he's done a great job. And he's also a 10th grader. He leads us in catches and yards and touchdown passes, and he's the one who made that big catch at the end of the ball game there to put us up right there towards the end. And the other one, Keelan Ellison, which is Junior's uncle, he made a couple of big catches the other night against Rising too, and he's another one of our skill people. Jamarcus Cranford's another one, and he's kind of been injured this year. He hurt his knee against Magnet Cove, and he's kind of getting back to where he was before. But he's another one, and Zay Jones is another one there as far as in spread that we can throw the ball to. So we got 4 guys that we can throw the ball to down the field that's been doing good this year, and then our running back. So he's got a lot of help. So it's not just him that has to do it all the time. We can run the ball and get the ball to our receivers a lot, and he's been doing a good job this year doing that.
Yeah, having a stable of running backs and then just it seems like a slew of young wide receivers that it can stretch the field vertically. But on the other side of the ball, it takes a good defense to be undefeated. Can you talk a little bit defensively about how you are running the other side of the ball down there in Fordyce?
Well, I know one thing. We got one of the best defensive staffs, I guess you could say, that I think of in the state as far as our classification. Coach Musgrove does a great job getting them prepared each week. Coach Sledge does a great job with the secondary and outside linebackers, and Coach Gamble does a great job with the D line, and Coach Tidwell also in there helping out with those guys, and they do a great job preparing the kids and getting them set up and getting from week to week. We kind of change the little things, but the thing is, those coaches they watch a lot of film. They get people, they get them in good situations where they can perform. And plus, our defense, that's something that we thought we could really put everything on this year with our defense, and it was. We're fast and we're quick and we're kind of big up front in a couple of positions, but our kids have really stepped up. And it kind of starts out with our linebackers. I know Brenton Sledge is a senior, and he's one that's really kind of stepped it up this year. And as far as I mean, he's a smart kid and he makes plays when it counts, and that's one of the main things. I know he's missed some tackles and stuff for us, but it just seems like he always makes the big tackle when we need to. And Friday night, after they ran the kickoff back and made it 30-28, and we had to send our defense out there in a 2-point conversion. And as he kind of jogged by, I just kind of looked at him and clapped my hands, and I told him, I said, all we got to do is stop the 2-point conversion. And he was one of the players that was in there that stopped them on the 2-point conversion. So we kind of count on him a lot as far as defense. And our other linebackers, I know T.J. Harris. He's the other inside linebacker, and he's a 10th grader. And we just got to keep him under control. Sometimes he just kind of runs around, but he's been doing a good job this year up front on the D line, that's really been a surprise for us this year because we lost two of our main players last year, graduated, Carmelo and Akeem Allen, and we thought we'd probably have a problem kind of replacing them, but we've kind of done it by committee. Kyle Randall and Vincent Stroud, Chauncey Robinson, Tayshawn Childs, and A.J. Hines. Those five guys have done a great job up front as far as on the defensive line this year. I mean, and we've been able to kind of control things up front against certain teams and stuff. And those guys, I mean, they've stepped it up this year. And there's been a couple of times that our defensive line had led us in tackles because they control the line of scrimmage so well. Secondary-wise, we have a lot of the guys I mentioned on offense, they're in the secondary. And as far as defensive backs, I know Jamartez Stroud is back there, Tremaine Turner, Brenton Sledge plays better. Micah Gamble plays linebacker and defensive back some. Zay Jones is back there, Jamarcus Cranford. Those guys have all, at one time or another, either played safety, corner, or outside linebacker some. We move them around a lot, and that's one good thing. We got a great defensive back coach. Kedrick Sledge does a great job preparing them and getting them lined up and putting them in good situations this year. We've had either 17 or 18 interceptions this year, and about 4 or 5 of them we've run back for touchdowns. So and plus we've had a bunch of fumbles where we scooped up and scored, and we ran some punts back. So our defense has scored a lot of points for us this year.
Yeah, and you mentioned, all those guys in the secondary that also play on the other side of the ball. I figure their conditioning has to be pretty good if you're going to play, receiver or a running back, and then when the ball gets to the other side, you got to go line up at your corner or your safety position. I had to figure.
Yes, at a school at our size, we right now we have 32 players on the team, and a lot of them go both ways and their own special teams and stuff. But at this time of the year, you're in shape, as good a shape as you're going to be in. And plus, we don't do a lot of running at practice anyway. We do we do it when we do our individual and our team stuff. And most of them, well, they're in shape by now anyway, and they do a good job there. Coach Sledge and Coach Socha do a good job as far as preparing our kids, as far as conditioning. We do a lot of that beginning of the season and at the start of it and during the summer and stuff. So that's one thing. And plus, like you said, we probably got a core group, about 15 to 20 kids that do most of the playing. And so at this level, you got to be able to go both ways.
Yeah, 32 kids, you're going to have, like you said, that core group that is going to do the majority of your playing. But I want to hit back on something you mentioned earlier about that Rising game, and you talked about the atmosphere, both teams being undefeated and, conference championship implications on the line to some extent. Can you talk a little bit about just the atmosphere in Fordyce and how the community really embraces the football program?
Well, that's one of the things. We used to play Rising first game of the year for a long time, and everybody, you had all summer, all off season, the whole. It seemed like you had almost a whole year to get prepared, get amped up, and get ready for the game against Rising. But then when we moved into the conference with them a couple of times, a few years ago we was in a conference, then we got back out, and then we got back in. But it always we kind of focused and put everything on the Rising game because it was the first game. Well, now with it being conference late in the year, we have 8 other games we have to kind of prepare for before we get to Rising. And our kids, they look forward to that game, and I know Rising does too. And a lot of times we tell our kids, we don't talk about the R word until it's that week in conference. When as we were going and playing and stuff, our kids were talking about, we got to, wait till we get to the right, and I was telling them, I said, we got to take care of all the other business before we can even think about Rising. As soon as we won that game the other night against Dumas, I said, now we can start using the R word. We start talking about Rising. And then Coach Vereen comes in. They had a little down year last year, and it wasn't I guess you could say, what is much stuff put on it. But Coach Vereen got them 8-0, got the kids out. They bought back in. And the atmosphere Friday night was just it was something. It was the way it was supposed to be for the Fordyce Rising game. There were people there before 5 o'clock. They were lining up in the end zone. They were all the way around the fence. The bleachers were full. I mean, and it was just it was the way it was supposed to be. And we won the game, so I enjoyed it more. But even if we hadn't, though, but to be in that atmosphere and everything, it was exciting for fans. Everything. I mean, you could just look around and see during the game and even after the game that's what it's about at small town football in schools like Fordyce and Rising.
Yeah, and I think small town football is one of those things that I honestly don't think gets enough credit. But can you talk a little bit about I'd say quite a few of your players are young. Can you talk a little bit about how this team's chemistry has come together this year? Getting behind a new quarterback and a new couple defensive linemen, and just being able to build the team chemistry that they need to be 9-0 at this point.
Well, a lot of our team, I know, a lot of them are kin to each other, so that makes it even as far as the chemistry part of it. That takes care of a lot of that, but it also family part. We have a lot of yang going on too, because a lot of them are kin to each other, and we got a lot of brother combinations on our team, and we got a lot of cousins and uncles and all that. I mean, probably close to half our team or more, they're kin to each other somewhere or the other. So family-wise, we're a family here at Fordyce as far as football. I know Ellison, Keelan Ellison, and Andrell Ellison, Jamartez Stroud, and Vincent Stroud, they're all cousins and uncles right there with each other. And then Micah Gamble, Noah Gamble are brothers. I mean, we just got all through the group, and then cousins with each other. I mean, it's they're all kin one way or the other somehow here in Fordyce. So that makes it good as far as that part, as far as taking care of each other. And then our kids, most of them had been going to school here since kindergarten with each other. I mean, I've been here a long time, and most of these kids that we have on the team have been here since they were in kindergarten. Plus, most of them I've coached or taught their parents or their dads in athletics. So it's a family thing all the way through. And plus, even in Pee Wee and in elementary school and stuff like that right there, the kids look forward to playing Rising each year. I mean, it's a big ball game all the time, whatever the record is, first game or later in the year. It's a lot of importance and a lot of things that people look forward to. And I know in the community it does too. I mean, I hate to say proud, but when you win a game against Rising, it kind of takes care of a lot of things as far as coaching and stuff like that during the year, because people just kind of look at you different if you beat Rising.
Yeah, that's one of those games that the entire community circles, not just the players and the coaches. But I kind of want to zoom out a little bit. You'd mentioned in that last statement you've been at Fordyce a long time. Can you talk about, your tenure at Fordyce and your coaching career as a whole, and what led you to be the head Red Bug down there, I guess, as you could say?
Well, I guess first thing is I always thank the Lord that He put me in this situation and put me here at Fordyce as far as coaching, as far as family and stuff. Because when I first applied for this job, it was 1985, and a couple of the people that my mom and dad owned a store in Monticello, and a couple of the guys who came through as far as salesmen and stuff, Bobby Thornton and Smitty Jenkins, those guys told me about the job. And, they knew I was just getting out of college. They told me about the job, said, man, you need to apply. That'd be a good place for you to work and stuff. And I applied for the job over here, and I interviewed with Jerry Bush and uh, Johnny Watson as far as the job. And, I just, my first job out of college, interviewing, I just got married, had a kid, and I come over here, and it was just, I don't know, it was just, the people, the way they took me in, helped me out, doing stuff like that right there. I just fell in love with the place. And as my family grew and as I had kids and stuff, I just never wanted to leave here. I mean, and I've been here since '85, and it's always kind of felt like home. And the Lord's blessed me as far as my kids and my family. They've loved living here, working here. 3 of my kids still live here in Fordyce and work here. And but being here at Fordyce, and the fans and the parents and the family atmosphere, and my church family and the people that are around here in Fordyce, I just loved it here. And first ball game I ever coached. First ball game I ever coached here in Fordyce was against Rising. Well, an assistant high school coach, assistant junior high, and we go over there in '85, and they beat us. They beat us in high school. I think it beat us like 14-12. So I remember that. I remember that game. My first game I ever really coached in. Rising beat us, and I remember that. And then you go through the years since I've been here, some of the biggest ball games we've ever had as far as football and stuff like that, kind of have to do with Rising. I know I became the head senior high football coach in 2010, and we were playing Rising, and we get late in the year because they were in our conference. That was the one year they got back in got in the conference with them, and we had a 19-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and Coach Toddy and Rising, they came back and beat us. And I kind of taught me a lesson, and I learned to coach a little bit better as far as not taking things for granted. And then the next year, 2011, we went over there to their place, and we were kind of down that year, and they were one of the top teams in 3A at that time. And we went over there, and our kids performed well, and it was one of those big games like we had Friday night, and we ended up winning that game 35-28. That was kind of one of the games as far as high school, that I really remembered and enjoyed. The people, especially, and it's a rivalry game, especially going over to Rising and winning. And that's when they had those people down in the end zone, and that's when they still had those hedges and stuff up down there. And to win over there and to see all those people and stuff, and how much fun and enjoyment they were having watching us win the ball game, that was that kind of gave me a big thrill to go over there and be able to do that. But coaching here has been a great pleasure for me, and I do every morning. I thank the Lord that I have a job that I love going to every morning.
Yeah, and you talk about, and that's just so cool that you got the job back in '85 and then progressed up through. But zooming out even a little bit more, could you talk about, and I like to ask every coach this question that I talk to, is how have you seen the landscape, whether it be X's and O's, whether it be personnel, whatever it may be, how the landscape of Arkansas high school football has changed since you have, even become a head coach in 2010?
Well, from when I started to where we're at right now, over the time, I know when I first came here in '85, it seems like kids wanted to play. They wanted to be out there. We had a lot more participation stuff, which we had a lot more people in the school too. But over the years, the things that I've seen change is that kids have a lot more things going on and stuff than they do to just concentrate on football. I mean, uh, vehicles and all the I don't know. To me, I'm getting older. The phones and every social media and stuff like that. Right there, there's a lot more stuff to keep people's attention. And to me, football, it's still important, and it is this stuff. But I mean, it's a lot more things are going on now that take people's attention away from that. And over the years, I mean, I'm old school, and I like people concentrating and looking and preparing and having a lot of things and just focusing on football. But there's a lot more things that people look at as far as that have changed over the years. And I remember when I first came here, I mean, football was it. Football was it. But there's a lot more things going on now, and I don't know. It seems like the kids they got a lot more stuff going on now than they used to, and that's one of the things I've noticed that's changed over the years. Is it's a lot more stuff going on now than it used to be. It used to be just kind of one thing. You've kind of focused on football and taking care of that part of it, and uh, that's one of the main things. And some of the other things I know the coaches kind of kid me about it, and I know some of the players and people they call me Papaw and stuff because I've been here so long, and I've been here. I'm 65 years old, been here 40 something years, and I don't understand all that loud music. I don't understand all that wristband stuff, visors, all that kind of back plates. I just want you to go out there and play football, but I understand there's a lot more stuff going on as far as looking good and whatever you call it, getting yourself hyped up for the games and stuff. To me, that's changed a lot over the years, and I've learned to adjust to that. I've learned to adjust to that loud music and all that kind of stuff. I just kind of learned to tune that out. But that's something that's changed a lot for me is the way kids prepare their minds and stuff for the ball games now has changed a lot since I started in it.
Yeah, and a lot of coaches will say that the X's and O's of everybody used to run the ball, now everybody stretches the field vertically, and but that's a very interesting point of view on the visors and the back plates. But can you talk a little bit about how you think players going to college has changed? You reference to social media, and it seems like if a kid wants to get recruited now, they have to have social media, and they have to have this highlight reel. Can you talk a little bit about how a kid getting recruited in 2010 is different than in 2024?
Well, when I first kind of got into this, you saw college coaches kind of come around a little bit more, and I remember you used to have to send it stuff to get kids kind of noticed. Now you don't have to do that, and most of the college coaches that come through now, the first thing they ask the kids is they want to know their. I don't know. I let my other coaches kind of handle kind of that stuff. I don't know if it's X or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but like you said, they want to know the social media stuff so they can talk to the kids and kind of keep up with things. And that's one of the things that has changed that we really tell our players and stuff is the stuff that you put out on social media, people can see that, and college coaches can see what you're doing. They can see what you say and those kind of things. And, we've kind of warned our kids about, they see all that stuff. And if you're putting stuff out there that may not be positive and is a negative situation and stuff, that can affect college coaches coming and looking and watching you and stuff. And plus with what we call the huddle stuff where we trade films, you can make highlight films and stuff on Facebook and Twitter and X or whatever it's called now. You can put yourself out there a lot more than you used to. And, that's another thing. You could get noticed a lot faster by putting highlights and stuff out there. Whereas before, a lot of it had to do with the coaches and kind of calling people and stuff. And a lot of things now you can kind of take care of yourself out there as far as getting stuff out there. So that's a thing that's changed. But our kids know they know how to do that uh, technology stuff better than I do, and they can make their own highlight films and they put music to it and all of that. And so it's changed a lot as far as getting noticed.
Yeah, most definitely. Can you talk a little bit about how you think the X's and O's have changed? How people honestly just move the ball down the field between, even 2010 when you became the head man to now.
Well, it has changed a lot. I know we still run the wing T a lot and wing I and stuff and kind of pound the ball some, but we do go to a lot of spread. We do that a lot more. We got a quarterback that can throw the ball downfield. We have lots of good receivers and running backs and try to get them out in space. And that's one thing that I've noticed from when I got into it in '85 to where it is now. It's a lot more wide open. There's a lot more scoring going on. I mean, I can remember when I first got into it. The first ball game against Ryzen, the score was 14-12, and you don't see very many games like that anymore. I mean, most ball games are 30s, 40s, 50s. I know us right now in high school. I mean, I haven't averaged it up, but I know we're scoring. There's been a couple of games. One game we scored 60, a couple of games we scored 50, and the other games we scored 40. I think Ryzen we scored 30. So there's a lot of scoring going on. But then on the other side of it, I know our defense has played good this year, and we've shut out a couple of teams this year and held a couple of teams to one touchdown. So you still got to go back to tackling and playing hard nosed defense and stuff. And that's one thing that I think has changed a lot is people just try to outscore you now, whereas before a lot of people focused on defense and tried to shut people out. And at the level we're at now and stuff, you see a lot of people that don't happen very much anymore. People just try to outscore. I think the other night I was listening to Drive Time or something, and some game was the score was 77-75. I mean, and you think about that, that's 11 and 10 touchdowns by both teams. I mean, that I don't know. I don't know, kind of unheard of as far as that many points being scored by both teams in a ball game. And then, but it's changed a lot from when I started out as far as a lot of it's offense. And you have so many skilled people now that you can get them out in space, throw the ball down the field. A lot of teams don't line up and just pound the ball anymore like they used to. I know Palestine Wheatley's a team we played. They run that option stuff kind of like Navy and Army does, and gave us problems there for a half because our kids. It took us a while to kind of get adjusted to it and do our jobs, and so every now and then you play a team that kind of comes out and does something old school. It kind of gives people problems sometimes because most people you're just wide open and running around and trying to out athlete people, whereas before, you tried to get back to the basics and just hard nosed football. Now it's, you put your athletes out there and let them make plays.
Yeah, it has definitely turned into an athlete game. But, Coach, that's going to wrap this interview up, and I really appreciate you hopping on this morning and talking some Red Bug football with me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You have a wonderful day, and good luck this Friday night.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, guys, that will wrap it up. That was a really cool interview with Coach Rodgers. I appreciate him hopping on once more. That is going to wrap up Season 2, Episode 11. Panthers have a big one this Friday night. I'm not going to lie to you. They win, they will more than likely host a playoff game. If they fall short, we will be heading on the road up north as it looks right now. So Panthers got a big one against the Mustangs of Perryville. Huge shout out to my sponsors, Hartzell's Farms and Excavating and Razorback Camper Sales. Be sure to check those sponsors out. They are the one that brings you these episodes. Please like, share, and subscribe. And that's going to wrap up Season 2, Episode 11. We'll see you next time in the studio.